Hi, this is Joanne, Magoo's sister, and I'm here to take you on a fast tour around the world. 49 minutes, we're going to hit all these spots that I've traveled to in the last 11 years or so. We're going to start right in France in 2004, a trip that we took to southern France, and then a couple of days in Paris. Here's where we stayed, right in a little village where no one spoke English. This was our villa. And here we are peeking out from the dining room, and this was our dinner every night as we traveled every day, took a ride out every day to the countryside and saw ruins, the view from top of the hill towards our village, grapevines everywhere. There were grapes all over. We weren't too far from the Mediterranean Sea. That's a beach that we went to. These were locks to get up a canal. The medieval villages were really amazing. I mean, they go back to the 13th century, 12th century, 14th. They were just fascinating. Then we left southern France and went to Paris. This was a view at night of obviously the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, the Louvre, that huge museum. You could spend weeks in there. And the Mona Lisa is in there, and the Venus de Milo. Good food there, eh? And this is the Notre Dame Cathedral. This is another small chapel, Saint Chapelle, and we visited the museum where Rodin has the Thinker. And here's uh, Vincent van Gogh. Next up, 2005, we made our first trip to Africa. It was a life-changing experience. Coming in for a landing on our grass runway, we flew in small planes between each camp. We were always greeted with coffee and zebras. This was our first place that we stayed. These were the huts. They were called tree houses. They weren't actually hanging trees. What a nice welcome by a Maasai village with warriors jumping and the women dancing. Lions and ostriches, and this is a Cory bustard, and hippos, a whole pod in the water. Malachite kingfisher, tiny, tiny, beautiful bird. And then we have our sundowner every night, a drink out on the Serengeti with pretty birds sitting on the truck watching. These are two gray-crowned cranes. This is a three-legged lion. Wait till the next picture. See his back leg? He's lost a leg, but he still manages to stay in the pride because the women, the female lions, do the hunting. Cute baboon with a baby, another lion. So he doesn't need to hunt. With three legs, he's okay. This was right outside of our tent at one of the camps. We're on a river, and the hippos just stood up and ate. More lions, a baby looking at us, and the father checking us out. Giraffe. There's a whole cluster of wildebeest and zebras trying to fight for shade on the Serengeti. Hippopotamus yawn. That's a great catch when you can get one of those in a picture. We actually had a cocktail party, a surprise, out on the Serengeti one afternoon. This was to go on a night drive. He was a tracker, and the elephants we saw were not happy with us. Here we are going cross country with an armed guard. This used to be a zebra, unfortunately. This is the river National Geographic always featured, with the wildebeest and the zebras crossing the river and the crocodiles after them. There's one of our tents. And elephants walked right up, and we had to stay frozen so they wouldn't get disturbed by us. Pretty bee eater. This is a baobab tree, like the big tree in Disney World. Sacred ibises out on the river. Another kingfisher. and a stork. I'm not sure which kind. Lions resting after a meal. We visited a school. These are children at a school. And we say goodbye to Africa for 2005. In 2006, we made our first trip to see Homosassa. Out on the Homosassa River, we saw pelicans and egrets, lots and lots of vultures on lawns, on beaches, and in the sky. Great blue heron nesting up in a tree. There's a double-crested cormorant. And then made a trip to St. Martin, which we did several years. And we started a pastime that I love, which is going to the beach where the planes go right over to hit the runway and taking pictures of them close up, even standing under right before they touch down on the runway. It's pretty thrilling. I've got more of that later because we went to St. Martin a few times. For work in 2006, I had to go to India, and it was interesting. There's a lot of poverty and a lot of temples and ruins and stuff that go back to the 15th and 13th and 15th century. This was actually on a golf course. Beautiful, beautiful temple. Now we're on the road to Agra, which is where the Taj Mahal is, and I wanted you to see how scary the highway is to drive on. We weren't driving, we had a driver. Sorry. There were cows everywhere, but no spitting. Poverty everywhere, but no spitting. And now we see the majesty, the Taj Mahal. It was so beautiful. White marble. Next up, same year, a tour of Italy, all over Italy by bus. This was a group of us, 6 of us. Trevi Fountain, Sistine Chapel, which you're not supposed to take pictures in, so I did not take this picture. Carol took it. St. Francis's Cathedral in Assisi, the Leaning Tower, really does lean. This is Pompeii. That was very moving. These were all artifacts when they dug out Pompeii. They're still digging there. This is Florence and Venice. No, excuse me, Isle of Capri. And this is Milan. What a gorgeous cathedral in Milan. Look at this. Look at the detail, the spires. Next, we went to Verona, and this is supposedly Romeo and Juliet's balcony. And then Venice. Venice lived up to its name. There's St. Mark's Square with all the pigeons, and it floods now. The water is rising, Venice is sinking, and it floods. The lower level of a lot of these buildings are destroyed and unusable because of flooding. Next up, in 2007, we went to the Galapagos Islands off the coast of Ecuador, South America, and my favorite were the blue-footed boobies, especially right on the path doing their mating dance. They were very elaborate dances and trying to attract that female. And then they start dancing together and billing. And then out come the eggs. There's a land iguana. Cute, ugly, magnificent frigate bird trying to attract a female. Look at me, look how red my pouch is. And then they get together. And this is feeding a baby. This is a baby going in to get some food. The sea lions were right there on the beaches, and we walk right up to them. This is an albatross, a Galapagos albatross. These are a different kind of booby. Marine iguana is hugging. Look at how cute. That's a Sally little crab. Flamingo, of course. A pretty yellow bird that I can't identify for you. Galapagos penguins. They were cute. They're very small. This is a storm petrel, and it's like they walk on water. Petrel is from St. Peter, walking on water. Here's a heron. And there's a sea lion on the right of the picture that you just can barely see laying down there. Cute lizard. Flightless cormorants. They've evolved to be swimmers and not flyers with those wings. Look at this pile of marine iguanas just stacked up. There's one in close up. And here are some more across a little inlet that's just full of lizards. A face only a mother could love, resting his wings, too. Pretty monarch butterfly. And we just walked through the woods, and there were the giant tortoises that Galapagos is famous for. Bit messy eaters, eating passion fruit. Next, we went to Machu Picchu in Peru. This was the same trip. We visited a little house. This is a boy tending the fire. Guinea pigs all over the floor. They eat them. Ollantaytambo is an Inca settlement. Look at how they constructed. The rocks are so precise. These are built in like the 15th century. And then the Incas were wiped out by the Spanish. Pizarro. Hummingbird at a place we stayed. Along the road, you see the traditional Peruvian dress. There's a Peruvian woman, a child with her pigs. The costumes were absolutely beautiful. We fed some llamas and alpacas. I was a little afraid. Do I kind of look like I'm being tentative? My friend Janice, a lot more comfortable with it, I guess. Sue, she was a little nervous too. They're weaving cloth. Along the side of the road, these children were posing for you to give them some money. They were beautiful. Now we finally reach Machu Picchu. I'm sure you've seen that picture. Everybody takes it when they get there. We stayed overnight right up next to it in a lodge. But we had a tour. We were led right through, walking through it to see all the assembly of the rocks. These were supposed to be used as mirrors. They don't know what else they could have been used for. See the reflection? Look at that. Look at that construction on natural rock. Really, really amazing. And the only place the rocks have separated is when there have been earthquakes. And way up high in the Andes, there were wild alpacas and llamas, and I can't tell you the difference. They all look the same to me. Just laying around. Thought this was a cute butt. That's a chinchilla. Kind of looks like a rabbit and a squirrel. And we had to walk down these stairs right next to the edge of the world with no railing. Man, it was nerve. And that's our tour guide showing us how they prayed. Next up, my mother and I, Ruthie, took a ride down to Florida, road trip with Magoo. We visited family and friends. Here we are at a Bass Pro Shop. And more friends. And then we went to Homosassa to visit Pat and Bob and took a ride on the Homosassa River to look for birds and manatees. We had to go really slow not to hit manatees. There's even Magoo's looking. Great blue heron. And we spotted some. Here's a manatee coming up. Cool, huh? Yeah, we saw quite a few. You have to cut the engine of the boat immediately if you see one because you don't want to run over them. The birds were nesting. That's an osprey's nest. Pelican. Then we went to Tarpon Springs and we took Magoo for lunch. She was a service dog by then. And so she's waiting patiently. And here she is sleeping while we ate. She was such a good girl on her first restaurant outing. There we are. And after lunch, my mother and Magoo. Magoo was younger then and actually played with toys. But then, of course, she got tired and had to sleep. Next trip. I was working in Denver, and my niece and I went to the World Series when Red Sox played the Denver Rockies, and they swept them. That's where our seats were. 4 games, and we were at the 4th game when they won the World Series. Wow, I'm stumbling there. Costa Rica. First trip to Costa Rica. We walked, there were 6 of us that went. Hummingbirds and beautiful frogs, believe it or not. The birds were absolutely amazing. I can't tell you what most of them are. Look at this butterfly that looks like an owl. This is a woodpecker, some kind of woodpecker. Another butterfly. This looks like a finch to me, but I can't tell you what kind. Look at this frog that we saw. These are butterfly chrysalises, monarch butterfly. Look at the gold that they build onto their chrysalises. Another beautiful frog. Another pretty hummingbird. This is a volcano coming up that we went by. Arenal volcano. It's a little closer shot. Look at that spewing. It's spewing lava and boulders the size of buses. And we went out on a hike to get as close as you're allowed to get. And with our binoculars, we could actually see the rocks flying up out of the top. I can't remember the name of that, or that animal. It's kind of like a raccoon. It's a roadside hawk. Here's a kingfisher. Another hawk. This is an ani, a smooth-billed ani. That's a grasshopper that was about 3 inches long on our lunch table one day. A toucan. They call them toucans, not toucans. There's an iguana that joined us at the pool. They named him Eduardo. And I was taking a picture of the beach, and those birds flew in. Look at the macaw. Is that gorgeous? Pretty butterfly on a poinsettia plant. Another one. Next up, I was working in Utah, and so some friends came out, and I took a couple of days off. That's the Great Salt Lake. We went swimming there. There's a lot of people walking down to the lake to go for a dip. There we are. The water's real shallow. I mean, you had to walk way out just to get to 2 feet of water so you could get wet. This is called Antelope Island that we're on. That's where we swam, and there are bison and antelope or elk. I'm not sure of the difference. Sorry. And riding around, you see waterfalls up in the mountains outside of Salt Lake City. I was actually working in Provo. Now we went for a bobsled run on wheels.
You don't know. Come on. You decided, Cody, you might do a little adjustment if you need to. Go ahead and do it. Alright, get ready. You can have you just fine.
Is it coming?
You don't think I'm that much.
Oh! Next, we went up and heard a symphony up in the mountains. In 2008, we did a cruise on the Hawaiian Islands. There's our Norwegian cruise line ship. These were volcanic spouts of steam being released on the big island of Hawaii, where there are, volcanoes actually erupting. This is just a lava landscape. And you can see in the distance, sometimes you can see steam spewing up, or where lava is actually hitting the water and creating steam. And this is that lava from the ship as we went by.
Oh, there he's jumping.
These are spinning dolphins. It's very hard to see, but they actually jump up and spin as they're up in the air. Of course, on Kauai. There are gorgeous waterfalls. Kauai is where there's the most rainfall on Earth. So it's very lush. It's a paradise. This is the Nepali coast of Kauai as we went by ship. So beautiful. You can only get there by boat or by helicopter. Now we're up Haleakala crater. So we're up at about 10,000 feet looking into a crater. Now we're out on a boat going snorkeling. Yeah, that's me. And under the boat, didn't have to go very far to see beautiful fish. And a sea turtle decided he wanted to swim with us. He came right towards me and really startled me, I have to say. And he did. He swam right with us. Gorgeous. He was big. Now this was the ride back. These dolphins got in front of the boat. We're on a catamaran, and they got in front of the boat, and we were going really fast, like 35 knots. And these things were just flying along at the same speed, and every once in a while they kind of leap out of the water to get a breath. And it was unbelievable seeing these things fly along right in front of the boat, in between the catamaran's pontoons. Of course, you can't go to Hawaii without going to a luau. In 2009, we did a local trip, New York City, on the Circle Line tour around the island. That's Ellis Island, Empire State Building. And then we went down to New Jersey. This is Ocean Grove, beautiful Victorian homes. Tents, these are tents, summer tents around a great auditorium where people stay. And there's the auditorium in the background, built in the 1890s. Of course, everywhere you go, there are Canada geese. Back to St. Martin in 2009, and more shooting pictures and videos of planes at that beach that I told you about. This is a 747 coming in right overhead. Look at that. Felt like you could reach up and touch it. There it is from the side.
Well, because when you start to come over,
This is a video of the plane coming in. Different plane, obviously. I can't just zoom in and shoot the same plane. This is everybody waiting and waving at the pilots and getting ready to have this plane go right over their head in a moment. Watch this. And touchdown right there. Wow, it is thrilling. Your heart just beats.
that is gorgeous.
Fast and loud. And everybody applauds. They're so thrilled.
Say hello. Hello.
It's quite an experience. Next, for work, this was the work that I did in Houston. That company sent me along with 4 of their staff to England and then to Australia. There we are in front of the real Sweeney Todd beet pie place. Those are wallabies. We've gotten to Australia for 2 weeks. Lizards, koala bear at a park that we visited. There we are. I'm holding Rodney. He stunk. Totally stunk. I don't know if that's an emu, I guess. Kangaroos. These are rainbow lorikeets. You held the feeding platform and they landed on you. Now, Ruthie and Pat and Bob and me and Sue took a cruise to Mexico. So here's Mom on the ship teaching people how to knit scrubbies. Woman really was interested in sunning herself on the balcony. It was a beautiful cruise. We went to Key West and Cozumel, Mexico. Then Pat and Bob and Sue and I took a cruise in Asia. This is Hong Kong, the view of Hong Kong. There were Buddhas everywhere. Buddhas to make you happy, Buddhas to make you rich. Hong Kong was really stunning. Oh, there's me and Pat. And we went to a Stanley's Hamburgers. Not the same as Central Falls, but I just thought that was clever. Now this is Hanoi, where we're on our ship. Look at the electrical work. Chinese New Year, that's a kumquat tree. We're on a cruise out in Halong Bay. This is a floating village. These people live out in the water. Schools, markets, everything is out there. This is China Beach in Vietnam. A woman tending her road. We took a bicycle ride out in the countryside. It was really interesting. These are silkworm cocoons, and these are the actual worms eating. And then they make silk, they dye it, weave it into cloth. These women posed for a picture. Look at this. Look at her. And again, it was Chinese New Year, so there were decorations everywhere. And then we went to Saigon, or now they call it Ho Chi Minh City, and there were festivals for the New Year. This is the river the cruise ship was in, Saigon River. Everybody rides motorcycles, motor scooters. This was a floating puppets, water puppets, I'm sorry. Dragons and all kinds of beautiful little puppets operated from behind the screen. And then to Bangkok, Thailand. And yeah, it was amazing. This is a three-headed elephant, giant elephant that you see on top of the building as you cruise in up the river. These are all scenes from along the riverside. Pagodas, temples. We went to the Grand Palace. It was acres and acres of gorgeous buildings. All gilded with gold and mosaic. It was stunning. Really, look at that. Those are rooftops, statues. Just the adornment was beautiful. This is the Grand Palace in Bangkok, Thailand. I can't tell you how many pictures I took in this place. Way more than I can show here. I could probably do an hour just in this one location. Now that we're in a floating marketplace, we went by boat. People pull up by boat, and there's the hat boat. The people that shop are on boats. The people that sell things are on boats. And it's really a huge boating traffic jam. Look at, they're making food on boats that then they deliver. Now we're in Singapore. What a beautiful city. Clean as can be, but very expensive. This is the Singapore orchard. Orchid garden. A national treasure for them. Along the river that we walked on. That's a hotel. That's a bridge, a walking bridge. This is an ice cream sandwich, and they really made it on bread. Ice cream between bread. Next, we went to Italy in 2012 and rented a villa. First, we started in Rome. There's the Colosseum. And that's a view from our villa. And there's our villa, 16th century. Beautiful place inside. Different villages, medieval villages that we visited. Really something else. Beautiful. Next, Ruthie and I took a cruise to Bermuda, 2012. There she is. Actually, that's her birthday party, her 90th birthday party at Atria. There we are singing. And there's the cruise ship, Bermuda or Bust. And there's the real cruise ship. We left out of Boston. This is Kings Harbor in Bermuda, where we were docked. And then we went to Florida, 2012 and 2013. Twice we went to the river again. Took a boat out on the river, the double-crested cormorant, right there. Ospreys in their nest. They're getting big, huh? I don't think it's the same birds as before. Great blue heron in its nest, and there's some babies. egret, baby egrets. There's a sandhill cranes up in Tallahassee. Excuse me, those were whooping cranes. These are sandhill cranes. Here we are slogging through the St. Mark's Wildlife Refuge. This is a coot, kind of duck-like, but they've got lobed feet, not webbed feet. Look at great blue heron trying to pretend he's a duck. Pelicans. And here's those cranes again. There are two whooping cranes are the white ones, and the sandhills are the gray ones. Next, we did a cruise to New Zealand and Australia. So here's New Zealand. That's an interesting looking gull. We took a catamaran out on a lake to these natural springs. And those are hot springs feeding those pools. That's a black swan. Canada goose all the way down in New Zealand. Can you imagine? There's the view from our cruise ship at this particular location. Then we took a harbor cruise in Akaroa, and that's a little tiny penguin. It's a different kind of cormorant than we have here. And those are Hector dolphins. They're only about 3 feet long. Sea lions. Look at the cliff that these sheep are standing on. This is a penguin sanctuary. These penguins are naturally occurring here, but they build them little places to nest. We had to walk through these almost underground tunnels and be in these almost underground blinds. They build them these lean-tos to nest in, and they have their babies. These are the penguins. They're really interesting. They've got that yellow stripe. Look at this, is a baby, hasn't lost his fur yet. There's a gallinule that was there, and they call this a yellow goldfinch. Doesn't look like a goldfinch to me. Then we went to an albatross nesting site. There's a big albatross, and then one flying over. As we cruised out, we went right by the place where the albatrosses were, and on the side of the cliff, all those little dots are cormorants nesting. And then there's the albatrosses that we saw from when we were on the land tour. Now we're entering the sounds. New Zealand has these sounds, Milford Sound, Dusky Sound, and they are just beautiful. You cruise in and then you turn around and cruise out. But the mountains drop right into the sea. There's a glacier way up in the mountains of New Zealand. Now we're going into Sydney Harbor. We crossed over to Australia. There's that bridge that people walk across the top of. There's the Sydney Opera House, and we docked. Look at this. We docked right across from the Sydney Opera House. And instead of pigeons, there's cockatoos flying around. This is Bondi Beach, where lifeguards were invented. We're out in the Blue Mountains outside of Sydney. Check out this bird. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's a waggletail. And we're leaving Dunedin, and there were forest fires. Kangaroo with a joey. Look at this beautiful bird. These are just wild birds hanging around. This is a different kind of goose, but I'm not sure what kind. This joey is popping out to eat stuff on the ground. Look at that. Strange bird. This is a Tasmanian devil, a peacock head. There's me holding a wombat. I never even knew what a wombat was. Now we're taking a tour out on Western Australia, and we saw a wild kangaroo. And this guy along the side of the road at a farm built a life-size version of Stonehenge. I don't know why. He just did, and we visited it. Bird was right side up, and then he was upside down. Now we're off the ship, and we're at Perth. And we had a couple of days to tour on our own around Perth. And we saw birds around and took a boat ride up the river. And that's a jellyfish that I saw. Pelicans flying. We saw fish and chip ice cream. That is what that is. Australia, it's a bloody long way. How do you like that? Next, we went to Alaska, and it was a land cruise. How do you know you're in Alaska? They make reindeer hot dogs. That's Mount McKinley. Looks like a junco to me. And this is a raven, not a crow. They're bigger than crows. Beautiful, beautiful landscape. And there's an elk and a moose along the side of the road in a river. We took a river rafting trip. Not wild. There's a beaver. He's gonna swim with it. With stuff right here. Splashed his tail. There's an eagle. We saw lots of eagles. Beautiful, beautiful. Anchorage. Got a little corny, but boy, it was decorated beautifully. And we were out on a walk, a guided tour, and we saw bears. Oh, this was at actually a sanctuary. These were all penned in. Still, it was very interesting. They had huge areas. They weren't constrained at all. Now we're up in the mountains above a hotel. We took a chairlift up. Oh, here I went on a kayak trip with a few other people. None of my group went though. Eagles in a nest. There I am in my kayak. That's the first time I ever kayaked. It was really fun. Look at the scenery. Oh, this is a glacier, Hubbard Glacier, very famous, and they're just melting away. These glaciers are just going to be gone in a few years. Look at the icebergs in the water. Look at how this glacier has melted and receded. Now we're in Juneau. That's what it looks like. Quaint little town. Salmon in the river. This is the Mendenhall Glacier. Again, it's receding. We saw bears. These are wild bears. Then we went out on this boat to go see whales, and man, did we see whales. They put on quite a show. And seals resting on a buoy. Then we went on a river ride up a river to an eagle sanctuary. The scenery was just beautiful. Beautiful eagle looking right at us. And moose coming up. The size of an eagle's hand, talon is the size of your hand. Now we saw these are brown bears out in the wild.
I am. Oh, he's got a fish. That was easy. Why is it so hard when I try to catch one?
We have another fish here.
No, I'm sorry.
That was cool, huh? Now we're waiting to board a boat to go out to see more whales, and these jellyfish were floating by. I just thought they were so beautiful. Looks like an egg, doesn't it? And we go see the whales, and there's going to be a video. At the waves, we were just bobbing around these waves, so I apologize if the video is very shaky.
No, you're fine.
So I don't know why he was doing that, but it was really interesting to watch. Then we went out on a walk. We're all in all different places, by the way, but this is a black bear habitat. Look at the bear print. And there he was. We found him. We were up on one of those hanging bridges, so it was safe. There's a juvenile eagle. Check this eagle's eyes. He's open. Now this inside eyelid is closed. See it again? Open. And now it's closed. They have two eyelids to protect their eyes. And so we say goodbye to Alaska. What a good trip. The cruise ended in Vancouver. So here's a little bit of sights from there's where the cruise ship landed. This was Olympic Village. That was the torch. We had some great meat pies. Visited a Chinese garden. Very pretty. There's a turtle. This was a steam clock. It actually blew the whistle at each quarter hour by steam. Another trip this last year to Costa Rica to visit a friend's house. This is my friend Christy's home. And black vulture flying over. This is a mot-mot, a toucan, some kind of a grackle with a really long tail. Great-tailed grackle. I wrote it there. Look at the nest. Those were oripendula birds. This is a boat-billed heron. Looks like he's got a toupee on. Some kind of tanager. This is Buttercup, the sloth, and there's a lot of pictures of her because she's so photogenic. She poses, and we just fell in love with her. Look at her. She just, when the camera came out, she would just start posing and looks like she's smiling. And we would sing, my girl Buttercup, do-do-do-do. She makes my heart go giddy up. There's a baby sloth. There's a three-toed sloth. Buttercup's a two-toed sloth. Look at this guy, too lazy to get up to eat. I tell you, I would love a sloth for a pet. They are so cute. A heron. A kiskadee. And that's because they say, kiskadee, kiskadee. There's a parrot, green parrot. Hoffman's woodpecker. It's a howler monkey, and boy, do they howl. It's kind of an oriole. It's a chuckalaka. It's a groove-billed ani. Before we saw a smooth-billed ani. On baby howler monkey. Cute squirrel, different colors than we have. I don't know what that is. And a beautiful sunset. Now this is the sunrise on Lake Michigan, actually. But now I'm in Oshawa, and I'm birding in spring migration. And there's a red-breasted nuthatch, chestnut-sided warbler singing away, yellow-rumped warbler. It's a Wilson's warbler, yellow warbler, a black-throated blue warbler. Really cool fungus that we saw walking through the woods. It's a downy woodpecker, I think. Interesting plant. It's a tree swallow. Beautiful blue, huh? Another yellow-rumped warbler. I'm not sure which kind of warbler that was. Snails, really pretty snails all over the place. I guess the water, red-winged blackbird. And a cardinal. A deer, talking to us, I guess. A gray catbird. Yellow warbler, singing. Everybody was singing. Look at these cedar waxwings right outside of the motel I was at. There's Michigan. My friend lives right on the beach. That's her house back there on Lake Michigan. And the water wasn't too cold. I swam. That's her cat enjoying one of my mother's Ruthie's scrubbies. Little chickadee. Goldfinch. This is right at her feeder. Downy, hairy woodpecker, longer bill than a downy. Sandhill cranes when we were out on a ride. We had fire at the beach. Now I go on migration with the whooping cranes. I was away for 4 months into 2014. These are the whooping cranes flying behind the ultralight plane. This was a tornado day. We had to actually evacuate. There I am walking with cranes. Now we just went to Africa for our second time. South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. There's a yellow-bill hornbill rhinoceros, hammerkop, Cape buffalo, ostrich. The animals in Africa are just amazing. To see them in the wild, close up, their natural habitat. You're not in a zoo. It just really feels like it changes your life. It's a warthog right at the lodge we were staying at. A hornbill. Lions. Love the lions. I'm not sure what that is, but it has a cool eye. Hippo. Kingfisher. These are water buck. Look at that butt. Elephants playing in the water and then giving us a dirty look. Black-bellied plovers and zebras and a pretty yellow bird that I can't identify. Impala buck. He's keeping his herd of females in check. Bee eaters. A fish eagle. This is an Egyptian goose. Some kind of bird. I don't know what it is. A Nile crocodile. Big mouth. Pretty bird. This is Victoria Falls. It's gorgeous. Rainbows. Look at the, that's a trumpeter hornbill. Another one. It's a different kind. It's a pied kingfisher. Then we walked with lions. Lions that are being raised to produce babies to be released in captivity. It was a little bit scary. Then we rode on an elephant named Janet. Her baby was getting a drink. And we saw a cheetah named Sylvester. Sacred ibis. Wildebeest. Well, ground hornbills. These were big birds. Really big. Baboons. A troop. Isn't that pretty? I'll just call it pretty. That's a vervet monkey. I call them pretty because I don't know what they are. It's some kind of a hawk. Beautiful. Lilac-breasted roller, I think. Look at him on his knees. It's a tawny eagle. There's a baby hyena. And South African penguins down below Cape Town with eggs. I think that's a francolin. This guy, I just loved his face, his ears. And then just recently, my most recent trip, I went to Ohio and Buffalo birding. McGee Marsh is a hot birding spot for spring migration. There's a robin. Look at that Wilson's warbler singing away. Eagles out there too, and a great blue heron. They pretty much look the same everywhere. Red-winged blackbird. It's a Blackburnian warbler. Very pretty bird. That's a scarlet tanager, just flying away. That's a prothonotary warbler. It's a chestnut-sided warbler. The last two, here's a black-throated blue warbler and a black-throated green warbler. And that's the end of the trips. Now, where am I going to go next? These are all different places that I would like to visit. Of course, I'll never get to all of them, but I'm thinking Antarctica is pretty important because it's the last continent that I haven't been to. But I'm kind of afraid of the ocean crossing. They say it's very rough. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can give me some advice on what should be the next trip. In the meantime, thank you for your patience. I hope you enjoyed my show. Bye-bye.